Let's go. Yo, I'm like an addict, do I gotta have it. I ain't even playing, got a really bad habit. If it moves, gotta grab it, fuse like a magnet. Lose, won't have it till I'm doomed in a casket. I ain't playing, got a weird mind. If you work 8 hours, I'ma work 9. If the shit tastes sour, you should taste mine. I'ma stay in power for a long time. Get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer. Rising the song to the highest bidder. Got juice, got gas, I'ma move fast. New shoes, new tracks, like who's that? I'm new, come back, better than last. Yeah, it's a new me, never gonna look back. Never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast, and that's facts. Only I can make a change. Slowly take a step today. I will never be the same, cause that's what it takes. Pieces is a form of art. I'm never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast, and that's facts. Only I can make a change. Slowly take a step today. I will never be the same, cause that's what it takes.
Everybody, how is everybody doing?
Oh, Bobby!
Hey, Patrick! Hey,
Buster! Yes, my Buster.
Buster, how are you doing, Buster? You're such a cutie.
You're so cute.
Hey, Rebecca.
Hi.
How are you guys doing? Hello, everybody. This should be a nice little intimate live stream, which is not at all a bad thing. Hello to Nancy. Hello, Callie Christine. Hi, Wanda. Hello to Sarah. Hey, Susie. Hey, Bald Cat. Hello, Virgie. Hello to Wendy. Doop, 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 doop. Franca. Barbie. Brenda Faye. Hello, hello. Hello, Crittolyn. And that is all. That's great. A short roll call is never a bad thing. Like I said, hey, Secret. So y'all have to excuse me if I go pulling and tugging because my costume isn't fitting appropriately. So, first reactions. What did you guys think?
I think it's going to be a good show.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely has me intrigued.
Definitely. Yep. So, the first thing we see is Rhaenyra coming in off the dragon. And one of my favorite things is that it had a saddle. No more having to just,
ride bareback.
Bareback ride, dragon riding. I mean, dragon riding's got to be, thank you, Bald Cat. I've got my little dragon necklace. I can't believe it stayed silver. I have not worn any of this since like 2017. So
it looks big on you now, huh? That white goatee.
I know it is a little big, but and I mean I've got the whole cape.
Cute.
I wish you could see it, but so hey Soph. But yeah, so Criddle loved it. I loved it too. I thought it was great. So we see her ride in with the dragon. So what were y'all's thoughts about the intro? We didn't have opening credits.
I think that they're trying to make a big statement first thing because they know the fans are coming back. They're going to need more than just an intro and then something. They want to reel you back in really good. So they first off started right away with the show. I think it was a good move because we've all been dying to see it again.
Oh, I've waited. I don't know. How long have we been waiting? I mean, how long has it been since the last season 8?
2 years?
2 years.
Yeah.
So Rhaenyra comes in riding on her dragon, and I kind of started late taking notes. So if y'all want to fill me in.
Something I found very interesting about the whole riding in on the dragon, as you mentioned it about the saddle. Like, okay, so we moved 200 years before Daenerys and her show, before Game of Thrones, and we have better technology. We have a saddle for a dragon, but poor Daenerys was barebacking it the whole
barebacking it. Yeah, that's a funny point you make, because as soon as it started, my husband said, it's supposed to be 107, but 172 exactly, and that was really cool, by the way, how they did the whole prologue or whatever you want to call it, and it speaks about the Targaryen house, and then and then it fades out, and the last thing you're left with is 172 years before Daenerys Targaryen. It gave me chills. And it gives me chills now.
To try to find out if anybody was going to be related to Jon Snow or Daenerys, I went into there's a wiki for Game of Thrones. Nobody in the show is related to any of the characters, because it's so far in advance. So just to let you know, it's a clean slate.
The casting is crazy though, because everybody's blonde hair, and then Emma, the king's wife, is an Aaron. Did y'all know that? Emma is an Aaron.
Yep.
So, but what happened? I guess Emma's mother was a Targaryen, and then her father was an Aaron. So we have all that set up, but everybody looks so much alike, So anyway, so she comes in, and the first one of the biggest statements, like the groundwork is set for, they need an heir. It's immediately set. Phil, quit trying to derail this stream. I'm trying to be completely out of this community and focus on content. So if you could see your way out, please. Thank you. Anyway, back to what we were saying. There's a need for an heir. That's the first thing that's set. Everything's set up for that. And we meet King. And by the way, for those of you that have just seen this hashtag that have never been to my channel before, I'm not going to know the names. I'm going to screw up on everything. I can't believe how much I don't know about this, because I've not read the books. So King Viserys, duh. So King Viserys comes onto the scene, and he seems like he's a nice guy. He's cutting jokes, eating eggs, and what did y'all think about the king himself? What was y'all's first thoughts?
The first king, or the king that got the throne after?
King Viserys. So yeah, I guess the opening is the old king was trying to pick a new successor first. It was a choice between Viserys and his sister Rhaenys. And they said, and so her name is the queen that never was, because they were totally against queens or women ruling the throne, the Iron Throne. So then King Viserys is appointed. And so we didn't see much of the first king or his dad. So what did you think about King Viserys?
You can go first, Patrick.
Okay. I don't like him, and I don't think he's long for this series. I think he will be gone rather quickly. Don't know how. Don't know. I'm sure we'll talk about the hands a little bit later on, but yeah, they made him out to be as weak as possible in almost every scene, from health reasons to just they all make fun of him pretty much. When we'll get into it with Daemon.
He gets Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. He gets cut. He keeps getting cut on the throne. If that's not some kind of metaphorical connection of his weakness, then what is? We've never watched it all 8 seasons of the prior, what do you even call that, installment. Yep. You never see anybody get cut by the throne. Now all of a sudden you see King Viserys just has a big open wound with pus oozing out of it that won't heal. So nasty. And I have a question. I think I asked you, Patrick, last night. How are we going to carterize a dragon, guys? Does anybody know?
Right? I was wondering, well, I'll have to talk about that later. But yeah, how do you cauterize a dragon? They don't burn.
They're immune to fire. Yep. Right? Yeah. I know he did struggle with taking the baby, and we'll get there, Bald Cat, but he was a little of an asshole for that too. Yeah. So we've got King Viserys, we've met him, and then Rhaenyra, they're all talking about the heir. And Rhaenyra basically is like, I don't even give a shit about the throne. All I'm interested in is riding my dragons and eating cake. That's all I want to do. And she reminded me so much of Arya Stark there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She didn't care about the politics. She doesn't care about the throne. She doesn't care about any of the crown. She wants to ride her dragon and eat some cake, guys. That's all she wants to do.
That needs to come out of the oven. One sec.
Okay. And so Virgie didn't like him. The king, yes, the whole entire family, Natalie, are dragons. The Targaryen house. And you know, I did listen to some commentary channels after last night, and those look delicious.
Yummy.
Delicious. So I listened to some commentary channels, and I really wish I thought I was a nerd on this show, but I'm just a normal watcher. Some of these people, they got this stuff down, and I guess it was said that maybe dragons might have had intercourse with some of the family members, and that's how the blood of the dragon. And it gets really, really deep, which is why I might just go ahead and bite the bullet and either get the audiobook or the regular series, because I've got to.
Audiobook.
I know, right? But how will I ever have time to catch up on all the YouTube channels if I have to listen to an audiobook on my drive? No, I'm just kidding. It would be a great break. Let me just tell you. Hello, Carrie. So then, and I'm probably skipping around some, so if I am, y'all help me. So basically, then we're introduced to the King's Council. I mean, you know, the king's in there. He's already established himself as weak. He's joking around with this council, eating eggs. Hey, Maria, making jokes. And then we see the relationship between Otto, and I believe it's in the first scene at the council, between Otto and Daemon's relationship. Daemon comes in, and Daemon is the prince of the king. And Daemon comes in, and he's a knight. He's the finest knight in all the town. You think he's definitely going to be an antagonist character. I can already tell.
You think? I think he looks like the guy from True Blood.
I think his attitude, like his whole demeanor, makes him ugly. Like, I'm just like, ew. Because the first thing that, you know, you see, I think it's the first thing. I might be getting mixed up, and I've watched this twice. But, you know, you see Rhaenyra and Daemon interaction, and it's almost creepy. I mean, we already know that Game of Thrones does not shy away from incestuous family relationships.
Targaryens.
And they're Targaryen. We already know that Daenerys had zero problem getting it on with her nephew once she found out. So, okay. Yeah. Thanks, Ruth Ann. I'll definitely check it out. So you see them, and he gives her a Valyrian steel necklace. He's, you know, they're kind of sweet on each other, I think, is what it seemed to be. Could be wrong, but I'm sure we'll find out. But as the story goes on, Otto and Daemon's relationship is obviously not good. You see that from jump. You see that they're to each other and during the council meeting. And so what did y'all think about those two when you first saw them?
That's going to be a clash. That's
be
a clash.
Otto's another weirdo.
Yeah.
Big time.
His daughter is the one that's very good friends with.
Right, Allison.
Yeah. I think that's going to make it even harder. I feel like that's the Starks and the
Starks and the Targaryens, or the Baratheons all over again.
All over again. Yep.
Definitely.
Yeah, it was a little bit different, and I think that Hightower is a big time protagonist. Like I think he's a douchebag, and I think, you know, that's his character, and that's going to be his character. So I'm in a way excited to see where he goes with this character. But yeah, he's always going to have a say in something.
He wants that throne bad. And listen, I skipped over bullet point 2, and I have an arrow drop to it, so I should have discussed this first. But this is after you see Otto and Daemon's relationship looking raunchy, after you see Daemon massacre all these criminals. Talk about eye for an eye over there. He got his gold key. So Daemon is not only the prince and the knight of the city, kind of gave me some Jaime Lannister vibes a little bit. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, he's the prince of the city, the knight, but he's also the commander of the city watch, or the gold capes is what they call them. So he basically was wanting the whole city to fear him. So he goes and he gets a group of not prisoners, but, you know, rapists, murderers, and thieves. And he goes, and if you stole something, your hands off. To the R worder, the schlong went. You know, so it was very graphic opening scenes, and it kind of really sets the stage for how cuckoo, in my opinion, I think Daemon is.
Yeah.
So then that's when they go to the council, and that's when he gets totally kind of reprimanded. Like, you better explain yourself for your antics out here, dude. You just cut this dude's head off. There's nothing but limbs in a barrel, penises over there, got cut off, everything else, which I did not know. Oh, thank you for the super chat, Natalie. But it's all fake. It's all, you just got to remember, none of it's real. None of it's real. But those sound effects, yikes.
Yeah.
Thank you for the super chat.
Yep.
So he nominates the criminals, and then he's got to go answer. And then that's where they're having all this debacle in the council meeting. And it was pretty gruesome. That's probably the most gruesome sight besides the competition that we saw during the episode. So that's a good thing. And you know, supposedly there wasn't supposed to be as much sex in this installment, but there was also right off the bat. Boom.
Yeah.
You have a brothel. So what happened after that? Y'all could feel free to add your own intentions anytime you would like, because I'm going by my notes that are poorly written.
No, you're right on it.
Yep.
Let's see. So the competition starts. He's going to, and what was and the competition's happening synonymously or at the same exact time. Oh, I know. Wasn't it disgusting? Isn't it crazy? I'm like, hello, are you Littlefinger or what's going on here?
Yeah.
But so the competition's going on, and it's the knights of different houses. We have, if I'm not mistaken, we have a Baratheon knight that's there. We have a knight from Dorne, and we have Sir Otto's son, all three fighting Daemon in the arena at the same exact time that Queen Emma is set to give birth. So there's your question, Ballcat. Yes. So, and they think, oh my gosh, goodness gracious, this is going to be our new heir. The king just knows in his heart, this boy, you know, everything's kind of going back and forth. So you're at the arena, then you're in her mothering bed, and she's big and pregnant. And he goes in to find out that his wife is breech. And so they're trying. So all the maesters are there, and I don't know. For me, I was like, are those maesters up to something? Like, what is really going on here? They sure seem kind of, to me, they were kind of plottish, and I could be wrong, but it all seemed kind of weird to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because
you got to keep your eye on everybody, because you never know who's going to be the one to drop the axe on someone.
I don't know if he's not into sex. They did make that connotation. I don't know if he was. I think he was more worried about because that's his number one. That's his number one whore that he was sleeping with. And she offered, like, look, I'll bring in the maidens. I'll bring in all of them, one of them. What do you need? And he kind of went underneath, which is weird. I didn't get that, like underneath a blanket or something. Like he was upset. I don't think he's not into sex. I just think that he was more worried about what was going on. Because Daemon does want the throne, absolutely wants to be the heir, no questions asked. So anyway, we're at there. She's trying to give birth. She can't. They're giving her all the milk of the puppy that they can so that the baby doesn't die. And you're going back and forth to these brutal, you know, and what's crazy is both scenes, even though they're flipping back and forth, are equally as gory, equally as triggering. It's not a family show, Sarah Z. It's really sad. It's not. Like, anytime Game of Thrones is on, Christopher knows, in the room, because it's not a family-oriented HBO show at all. However, it is an excellently put together and well done TV show. So, you know, there was a bunch of violence going on in the arena, and then there was basically violence going on in the mothering room, where she was trying to give birth. You know, she's tired, she's exhausted trying to get through this birth, and you know the king's right there at the bedside, and the maesters are like, listen, she's not doing anything over here. We're gonna have to do something, and we don't even know how to do it. I might have read it once or twice over at the Citadel, but we don't know what we're doing, but it's worth a try because you could only save one of them. So what were y'all's thoughts on that? Did you think he was going to choose? Because up until now, we've seen him doing nothing but dote on Emma and love Emma and profess his love. This was not Cersei and King Robert, okay? This was not a hate relationship. This was a loving relationship. So what did y'all think when he decided to say, yeah, screw her, give me the baby, let's call it a day?
Yeah, that was a little tough, but I think it goes back to something you said earlier, that, you know, in this time, this era of time, women really weren't anything. They have no rights to anything.
I
So
know.
yeah, and she even kind of foreshadowed it in the bathtub when she said that I'm really just here to have your
Make your
kids,
babies.
make
Yeah.
an heir. That's all women are for. And you know, and I think he stuck with that in making that decision. I do think he still struggled with it. I mean, he seemed to
Yeah.
show some struggle, but yeah, that was it's very gruesome scene.
Very.
And she didn't see it coming either.
That was
No.
the hardest part for me.
Pulled her down, strapped her up.
Yep.
You saw the
Very
feet.
violent.
Yeah,
Huh?
what's happening? Tell me what's happening. What's going on? Like,
Yeah, please. I'm scared. I'm scared.
Yeah.
And not only that, but if you'll notice, the maesters, they really didn't know what they were doing, because if y'all notice where they cut right along the major artery in her stomach, right along her abdominal aorta. I mean, that's why you see the blood spurt, because we all know any woman that has had a cesarean section knows that they cut right on the pubic bone, right above the pubic bone, below, shit, I don't know, but way down there. And that's so they don't hit any of these arteries. So you literally watch her get murdered on her birthing bed, which again reminded me of Tyrion's mom, who also died giving birth. So to me, there was a bunch of parallels in the two stories. I guess I'm guessing that George R.R. Martin wanted us to see these similarities but differences. I'm not sure, but to me, it just kept on everything. A little bit of it kept ringing back to the original series. Yeah. So we have that. So they go ahead. They do the cesarean section. Life is lost. Oops, excuse my bra strap. Told y'all I was having wardrobe malfunctions. But anyway, the wife's pale, lifeless, and Baldcat says that he was told she would die anyway. Did he tell them that? Was he told that she was going to die anyway, or that he had to
that she would die anyway? I think, yeah,
because she would. Okay, well that makes it a little bit better, but I don't think. I mean, I think that.
Well, no matter what, like as a nurse, how would they in that time abort that baby? Yeah. So
where did the word C-section come from? Didn't it come from Julius Caesar having to get cut open? His mother? Let's see. Or where did the word C-section come from? C-section was... Let's see.
Oh, Sarah. Can we kick Sarah out of the chat tonight?
What is she doing? Sarah, you must behave.
No, never. That is not in her vocabulary.
Let's see, where did the word C-section derive? I'm still not looking and seeing what Sarah's doing.
Oh, she just said, "Do I still have a pubic bone if I shave?"
So the first C-section was done in 1500, but I think it was but it does derive from the Latin word cut. So that wasn't C-section. But anyway, you're right. They would definitely take the baby. But the thing about it is had they, cyberbully counseling services, had they done it the right way, and they'd been a little bit more advanced with their technology of whatever actually it says C1610. She died 25 days after the surgery. Abdominal delivery was subsequently tried in many ways and under many conditions. So I don't even know what time this is as far as in the world. I mean, we are in Westeros, so I'm not sure. I'm sure they're not going to have BC or AD or anything, because they pray to 7 gods, old and new. It's totally different than the world we live in. So, but at any rate,
that their time was 101.
101.
Yeah, so we're way back.
They were pretty advanced for year 101. That's pretty amazing, because so let's see. Yeah, I've got written down that it was brutal, and the king is upset about this. He is just totally upset. He's there holding he's more concerned with his wife at that time, after all this takes place, than he is about the baby. Like, he's over there at her bedside. He's not even, most of these kings we've seen in the past have been like, is it a boy? And he's not worried about that. He's worried about her and holding her hand and grieving his wife. And then the Meisters came back and he says, "You've got a boy." And you're like, And then he looks at the baby, and the first thing is, like, I didn't catch the baby was coughing at first. I could tell he was looking at it weird. And Jason guessed it, but he was like, "Oh my gosh, what if he's an imp?" Well, I was like, maybe he is, but then we rewound it, and we saw the baby, of course, starts coughing and choking. We could guess maybe it was on meconium because it was such a delayed birth that maybe the baby, when they have a meconium ingestion, they take their first bowel movement in utero. I know it's a little much, and then they ingest it, and it causes them to aspirate, choke, and a lot of times they'll come out stillborn. But we could possibly think that maybe that's what happened, is the long extended birth that happened. He comes out, he's alive, but then he's aspirated, so he's having respiratory problems and basically dies in his dad's arms. So we have that. So the next thing, and Rhaenyra is like, I want my dad to have a boy. The only time he seems happy is whenever he's thought about having a boy. He's kind of ignored his daughter, and then they go out to the burial plot, which was kind of weird for me because we've seen the burning funerals for the Dothraki.
Yep.
We've seen the burning funerals for the Night's Watch and the Wildlings, but I guess it's fair to assume that the Targaryens started the burning funerals, but they're not worried about White Walkers. Maybe this is just the way they bury their people. And I loved that Rhaenyra talked to the first dragon, but it was sad though. Dracarys has never been more sad. Dracarys is usually like, yeah, get him. But Dracarys was her telling her dragon to burn his mom. Yeah, she lost his wife and his son. And then the daughter, that's another instance of the king being weak. He couldn't even order his own fleet of family dragons to burn his wife and his son. He makes his daughter, who's going to be just as sad, to order the fire burning of the bodies. So that was another instance that I noticed some weakness in the king.
He kind of reminds me of Tommen. Remember Tommen?
Yes. Like how
Tommen as a grown adult, yes, he's like a good person.
Right.
He's just not meant to rule.
No, too soft. Way too soft. Kind of like when Tommen wouldn't go talk to her, or he went to tell the Sons of the Harpy at King's Landing, like, get my wife out of the jail, and they're like, no, and he's like, oh, okay, and then leaves. Like,
all right, what? I'll go home.
What? Or I don't know if she was in the jail yet or whatever, but the whole whatever the charges or whatever it was. So
even when she was in the jail, he did not do anything. He just didn't eat. Poor little baby.
Right.
Without supper.
And then his mommy was trying to do nothing but get to him, because basically I think Tommen was still on the queen's booby. Well, until he jumped out the window and Kate himself, because he was done with the whole shit. But anyway, so and sorry if I just spoiled y'all's viewing of GOT. Just forget I said that. So hey, Irish lass. So we have the death, the funeral, the Dracarys, and then as soon as that happens, no breath to be taken. Otto's going, hey king, hey, we need to worry about a successor. What's going on here? No time to waste. We got to name a successor. And it was kind of rude. So there again, you see Otto coming in, act like a douchebag, like Patrick said.
Yep.
Like, excuse me, sir. Somebody just lost his wife that he actually loved. Oh, I know. I was surprised at how the throne was so big. Like, where did all this? It's like the throne had a cape of swords or something.
It's all over the floor. Like, it wasn't like that in Game of Thrones, right? Like, there wasn't.
No, it was a very just your normal.
Yes.
Sword of thrones. I mean, throne of swords, and that was it. But you got all these swords just stuck everywhere around the throne. It was very much different.
Yep.
But and also the Red Room was much different too. Is that what it's called? The Red Room? The Red
Room is a different movie.
No, I wasn't thinking about the Red Room. Where am I thinking about the what? The Red Keep. Thank you. Not Red Room. The Red Keep was a lot more different. It was a lot more populated and busy and kind of more positive than it was in the last. I don't even know what to call that. What do you call that? Installment series?
Yeah, it was
the same franchise.
It had all of the religious icons on the walls, and now it's a huge dragon skull.
Well, even if you notice behind the Iron Throne, there wasn't the different things in the glass behind it.
Nope.
It was just plain.
Right. And that's because and y'all and that's what I was thinking. I was like, Jason, this doesn't look like freaking Dragonstone. I was like, oh, because we're in King's Landing. Duh. So that was the first like again, it takes me a little bit since I didn't read the books, but I'm gonna have to. It takes me a little bit to kind of click. So anyway, so I've got that, he doesn't want to give the heir to Daemon. That's his first complaint. He's like, it can't be Daemon. He is too much of a hothead. The realm needs protection. We are not doing this. Daemon is not an option. And then, the queen that never was his husband, of course, speaks up and says, well, what about the queen that never was? And they laugh and they said, no, we're not having a girl on this throne. Have y'all lost y'all's ever loving minds? And then basically they go ahead and decide that was it at that point right there that they decided that Rhaenyra would be the best option, or did they decide that later?
I think the idea was thrown in there. I don't think he made the final decision until he actually met with her.
Yeah.
Right. And then he decided it. He said he had this whole what do they call it? A dream or an epiphany or what do they call those things where you have this, where you see something in the future, like a vision. Yeah. But we'll get that to there in a second. But King's still so depressed over his wife, and what does Otto Hightower, the King's hand, do? Watch out. You're on my screen. Hold on. Christopher. Uh-oh. Hold on.
Incoming child.
Coming. And my dog, of course, loves hearing another dog bark, so he's over here just wagging his tail.
Aww. Sorry if y'all saw my little boy in his undies just burst through the door. I don't think he knew I was live. Anyway. So, and if you did, sorry, it's just a little boy in underoos. Okay, so anyway.
If I could take it back for a second. One thing that happened, so I know we're talking about the council meeting right after the funeral, but I also found it very interesting that Daemon, because he's such a upstanding citizen, went and rented out the entire whorehouse for his gold guys.
Yeah. And once again, he wasn't partaking.
No, and they were all doing their thing, and he was just kind of.
All around them too. It's nothing like Littlefinger's establishment.
No.
Littlefinger's establishment had a little bit of class to it, right? A little bit. This was just a full-on ORGY over there. Yes, me
over there.
Yeah, everywhere. And so he was sitting there enjoying his ale or his wine or whatever it was, and that is where he goes and says, I think the brothel was before, you're right. And so then that's when he says, oh, he was king. He was heir for a day. And then go ahead. And he says, that I'm the new heir because we only had an heir for a day. Oh boy, just kicked the bucket after one day of life, which was really an ugly thing to say.
Yep.
Horrible.
And after it got brought right back to the king.
Yeah. Boom. Old dirty ass Otto. But yeah, so, he's in. And Otto's got so many different qualities about him. He's just, to me, he's a worm. He's sneaky. He's Littlefinger 2.0. He's trying to get to me. He wants the throne. It's obvious because he's like, Alicent comes in, his daughter, and he's like, the king's sad. Why don't you go in there and wear your mom's dress and keep him some company? And I was like,
read a book. Yeah, no.
Are you pimping your daughter out, Otto? Is that what I'm saying here? And I asked Patrick that last night. I was like, am I crazy?
Yeah, that's how I took it. Definitely how I took it.
Yeah. Either I don't think he would mind if that would happen, or he's almost just trying to manipulate the king by keeping his daughter close, because you can't kill somebody when you love their kid. So either way, some type of manipulation.
Yeah, definitely. And like Patrick said, then what do you know? Before they could even blink, Otto goes and runs and tells the king, guess what? Your brother just said you had an heir for a day. What you going to do about that? So to me, Otto really has his eye on this throne, or at least completely controlling who's on the throne, or completely controlling King Viserys. I mean, he has just got his hands in all kinds of pots. So, Yeah, that's my next prince for a day. He wants Daemon gone. He does. He wants Daemon gone. He wants him out. He wants him being commander of the city, and that's it. You know. And so what else happened? Because that's where my notes stop. So what had happened after that? Can y'all remember?
Yeah. So
The talk that he had with his daughter.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
that was the next big thing, was the talk he had with his daughter in this beautiful room right here. Aw, you can see.
Oh, look at you! So you're gonna have to teach me how to do that, so I don't have this behind me.
So yeah, I mean, and he shared some secrets. One was totally mind blowing to me. Was about the dragons. I nothing ever came about that in Game of Thrones. So hearing that they don't truly control the dragons, but they have to have the illusion that they do. It's
Correct.
like, wait a second, because yeah, they've always been like, yeah, we rule these things. They listen to us, but no, not really.
Well, I wonder if it's just that they speak the High Valyrian language to them that they understand, and maybe if anybody spoke High Valyrian to them, maybe they would respond and burn people or do whatever. But it's just you have to have the native tongue of Valeria,
Yeah.
Valerian, High Valyrian.
Even in the beginning scene when she's riding the dragon, some other people end up taking the dragon back into its little lair. So
Yeah.
I'm sure that they know it's just the interaction that you have with an animal.
Yeah.
You know, like any type of animal. Like, so I who knows if it's the language or if it's just the connection that the animal has with you. And
Yeah.
I mean, that's the one thing that we could give him credit for, is at least being more aware to know he doesn't have full control over those animals. They're animals. Like,
Right. And why are dragons so important for those of you that haven't seen it? Because the fire and flying in and of itself, plus they're creatures that scare people. So it's all about the power of the fire, the beat. I mean, we've seen Daenerys burn all of King's Landing down season 8 with the dragon, and she only had one. I was surprised that there was 10. I think they said 10 adult dragons.
Yeah, 10
But you're
adult.
right. And a what?
Yeah, it was 10 adult.
10 adult, yeah. And then you're right, Rebecca, though I didn't think about that. They actually had dragon hands or dragon keepers. And before we only saw Daenerys handle these dragons. So it's interesting that he said that.
And it's interesting because, you could definitely tell we're in a different time, because thinking back in Game of Thrones, anytime the dragons would fly over, people were scared. They were crapping their pants because there were dragons flying over. And I didn't see one person look up.
Didn't flinch.
When Rhaenyra was flying in. So they were just kind of like, oh, cool, dragons are here. They just
dragons here.
On their merry way. No big deal.
No biggie. I see that every day.
Yeah,
so these are like their horses.
I think they haven't been weaponized yet. And who knows if that's coming. But, when we picked it up in Game of Thrones, they were definitely weaponized.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Everybody was terrified. All you had to do was mention the word dragon, and everybody's like, they've been gone for thousands of years or however many years, And, then you, of course, see Daenerys birth 3 dragons, and we know how the end of that goes. But you're right, Patrick. Nobody flinched. Nobody acted like it was a big deal. It was just a normal day over in King's Landing with a saddled up dragon. No biggie. So definitely, so we see them more domesticated and they're not feared. And maybe that's, and maybe they are a little bit more domesticated too, by the way, because of the able to keep a harness on them and, and using them for her travel needs. So then after that, so where were we? Continue. Because I don't know.
His daughter.
Yeah. So what was the talk about? Y'all remember what the talk was about?
Yeah, he asked her an important question, and I wish I would have wrote down what that question was, but it was something on what the dragons were and what they meant and all this, and she gave him the answer he was looking for, which to him made her, at least to me, this is how I saw it, is that made him think, okay, yeah, she's the right person to put as the heir.
I know what she said. She said that the dragons represent family.
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Yep.
That's exactly right. Look at you, Rebecca. You go, you memory. And I'm actually to that part. And some of the channels that I've seen covering these, I guess they don't get copyright and struck if you play scenes, because a lot of these channels are playing scenes. So maybe it's something we can think about next week. But yeah, you're right. They're at I don't even know what you call this room. It's the room of candles and melting wax, if you ask me. She said, yeah, that's what she said. He said, what do you see when you look at them? And she said, family. So then carry on to the next scene.
Yep. So this is where she's starting to get fitted for her outfit, or whatever we're gonna call it.
Beautiful.
Which I agree. I think the costuming they did was fantastic.
Oh yes, definitely.
But I know we haven't talked about her a lot, but I'm a little confused on her, Rhaenyra, because first she was getting all chummy with her uncle, Daemon. Then I thought she was getting very chummy with Hightower's daughter. Yeah,
yep, me too.
Absolutely. And then during the jousting, the one guy wanted her favor, and I think his name was Kristen. I forget how you say it, but that she seemed very fond of him there. So it's like,
is this the knight from Dorne that you were talking about? The Dark Knight?
Yes. Took out Daemon. Yeah.
Wow, that's a good point. I did see him kind of flirty at the competition as well. So
it's like, okay, there's 3 people.
Yeah, because you're right. When she was laying in Allison's lap talking about eating cake, I was like, what's going on here? And they were holding hands, I think, at one point.
A couple times.
And she does seem like a little bit more of, like, not so much. I mean, she definitely looks at the very end of the episode like a lady with her. I loved her costume.
Yeah.
That's on the thumbnail of this video. Loved it. And she did. And she looked more like a lady. But before, like I said, Arya Stark reminded me of a little bit more of a tomboy-like character. And that's kind of the feeling I got with Rhaenyra. But you're right. She's now flirted with a family member, a female, and a male. So we're going to have to watch and see how this progresses. But I do know that we're going to see Rhaenyra as a little girl. And then I know later in the episodes, as these progress, the actress changes because she gets older. So it'll be interesting seeing how many years that. And I think there's also a King Viserys too, as well. I think there's an older King Viserys. There is. We're going to have to see how this progresses and how many years and generations this covers, because it's going to get interesting. So let's see what else. So what else? So what do y'all? Anybody have any kind of? What do y'all have to say about the vision of the Song of Ice and Fire that the king talks about? What did y'all think about that? What do y'all think he's seeing? He said he had a vision of the Song of Ice and Fire. So what do y'all think that meant?
He was definitely foreshadowing the Night King and the battle that was going to happen in the north. He knew something was going to happen in the north. It's complete foreshadowing to Game of Thrones. Makes you want to watch that episode again of the battle. But yeah, it's full foreshadowing. Like, everything's kind of interconnected, which is almost what makes the show that much better. Is like parts of it you're like, oh, I just know. Like,
exactly. I think they were talking about the Long Night, which was the White Walkers and the Wildlings, the Night's Watch, Jon Snow, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So what he was envisioning there. But it's really crazy that the first episode, they come out of the gate with all of a sudden just tying it all together with the Song of Fire and Ice. But it was also pretty cool, in my opinion.
I want to go back and look and pay a little more attention. Somebody brought this up one of my coworkers brought this up today, and she goes, "Hey, did you see the thing that he was holding on to when he was having that conversation?"
Oh, it was the dagger.
And the dagger.
Yeah. And so it's like, wow, that's the dagger that was used. And so, I mean, it's just.
That was the dagger that was used to kill the Night King, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So how the hell did he get that? How did Arya get that? I mean, not he. Of course, this is before.
Well, wasn't that the dagger that was supposed to be used to kill Brandon Stark at first, and then Littlefinger gave it to, was it Littlefinger that gave it to Brandon Stark, and then Brandon Stark gave it to Arya?
Oh, so that's crazy, because they sure did hone in on that. And it's a bejeweled dagger, and it's very. We definitely noticed it in the first episode. I mean, in the first. I don't know what to call it. The Game of Thrones. We'll just call it Game of Thrones. And I didn't realize that was the White Walker weapon. So thanks for letting me know that.
I think it is. I mean, when I have to go, like I said, I got to go back and look at it, but I think they were that whole conversation was foreshadowing.
Unreal. So I wonder if this king has some kind of visionary or prophetic abilities, because I mean, so far he says that he's had, a dream that he could see as clear as day that his son's going to be on that throne. Of course, we know that the son dies, but I mean, he's still having all these prophecies that he says are almost tangible, occurrences that are actually happening. So it's going to be interesting
that the secret of the White Walkers and the stuff that they're foreshadowing is something that was passed down from king to king, and that was kind of a big thing that he told her, because that's a thing that was only passed down from king to king to king. So he's full on telling her, because he's like, you're going to be on the Iron Throne.
Right. So, well, maybe she won't get stuck by it. Maybe not. But yeah, I definitely think, as far as if we're going to make any kind of I know I didn't realize it was the same dagger either, Zelda. How crazy. If we're going to make some, guesses as to what happens in the future, I think definitely the king's probably going to die by that nasty open wound that he's got from the throne, which how ironic will that be, that he dies by the throne of which he sits, which to me means he doesn't belong sitting there. And that's about the only thing I can actually say as far as a guess as to what's to come. What about y'all?
Well, I just know that a woman had never been on the Iron Throne before. So I'm going to be looking forward to seeing what really happens with Rhaenyra.
Me too.
And I'll be curious to see, because with her and Daemon having such a close relationship at the beginning, now that Daemon's been kicked out, he's going to come back. And he's going to come back happy. So I have a feeling she's going to be on the throne at the time he comes back, and that's going to be a big struggle. Yep. So we'll see.
I feel like they're going to have a huge civil war within the family, that this is just not going to work out very nicely. And instead of us watching it, and let me also bring up, whenever they introduced Rhaenyra as the heir, how cool was that we saw Stark? I was just like, yay, how Stark. Where'd Patrick go?
Yeah.
Oh, it says device not connected. There he is.
But
we saw a Stark, and we saw Baratheon, of course, but we see a Stark. He's blonde. Why was there a blonde Stark? Can somebody help me?
Yeah, that's
Ned Stark has the chocolate brown hair. You've got every Stark. Both parents of the Stark family are brunettes, and you don't see except for Sansa. That's the only different color hair in the family, and she's a redhead. So where did this blonde Stark come from? Is what I'd love to know. Were the Starks and the Targaryens screwing around before
Jon Snow's mama?
Lyanna, and that was with the Baratheon, but still, Jon didn't have blonde hair. So, but yeah, so I guess we're going to see, right-ish, Zelda. I guess you've read the books, so you probably already know where this is going, and that's it. I don't want to know where it's going if the books are going to spoil it. But I do want to be as knowledgeable as all these other commentators on this, and they know all kinds of stuff. And I couldn't even understand their language when I was watching some of the commentary last night. I was like, what the crap? Look, you just changed it. Look how cool. I love that.
Really cool.
Couldn't he technically still have a male heir? That's what I thought the hand was trying to set up. No, this hand wanted to set up absolutely positively the king's brother could have been named the heir, and that's what everybody assumed, but the king's hand was saying hail to the no. He just went out there and slaughtered all these people. He's a menace to our society. We do not want him having any kind of extra power, because he's already running amok with the little power he does have. So the other options were the other option actually was the Queen Rhaenyra's son was the other option. The two younger children that you see at the competition, sitting right in front of them.
They're adorable too.
They are.
So cute.
Kids.
But how did her husband get blonde hair too? That's what another thing. I'm like, did they just do that for looks, or where did he?
Maybe he was in the sea, because he was supposed to be a big pirate, right?
Okay.
He was like the master of ships. So maybe it's from being in the sun and stuff all the time is maybe what they were thinking with
bleached
that.
his hair out. Yeah. So yes, it was cool to see a Stark. I know. I just want to know why his hair's blonde. As blonde as mine, that is. I know. I want to read them too, guys. It's gonna be hard not to read them because like I said, there's so much. And then, like, even listening to these commentators, I don't know if for those of you who have read it. Evidently, there's like a whole nother series that hasn't been finished yet called Dunk and Egg. Have y'all heard of Dunk and Egg? And I really don't know what that's about, but listening to these commentators, like that were like, these people were like, you'll have to check them out. You can only find about 10,000 season 1, episode 1 recaps on YouTube right now. And if you do, you'll hear these people just talking in almost a different language, talking about this book series. And it's got me really, really intrigued. So I'm really excited to cover it. And maybe we should do, I don't know if we should do it directly after the episode next week instead of, it's because I saw tons of people like the after show doing that, but we can, and that way it might be a little bit more fresh, like on my brain, but it just depends on what y'all want to do. But we'll definitely do season 2 or episode 2 next week. And, but did y'all have any final thoughts or anything else that I wanted to add?
No, I think this has been great. It's been fun. I'm glad it's back. Definitely get my nerdiness going. I love it a lot. I'd love if we did, like, if we knew like what the episode was going to be. You know, like, let's go back to the Red Wedding. You know, and we're watching, like, having a live reaction show. Imagine our face as we're all here. We would have been like, "Oh, what the heck just happened?"
That's not a bad idea to have like a live watch party on what we
don't know what's going to happen. So yeah, I mean, it's got to get into it a little bit. You know, they're still developing the characters, but this is great, and I'm glad to be on with 2 people who love the show and watch the show, and everybody in the chat. It's great.
It's been a lot of fun. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming. Thank you, all the people in the chat, for joining. I love this small, little, intimate, drama-free live stream. It's been awesome and refreshing. And we will see everybody next week for episode 2. Comes on next Sunday at 9 Eastern. So y'all, if y'all haven't gotten HBO Max yet, I strongly recommend you get it so you can keep up with what we're talking about, because you're not going to want to miss one of the best, most brightest, and great shows ever made, in my opinion. And I can't wait to see if the hype's going to continue with the House of the Dragon. I hope it does. I think
it's going to go strong. I think this is going to be a good one. I don't think that they waited this long to let us down now. So I think it's going to get better.
Especially how Game of Thrones ended. Just throwing that in there.
They've got to do the fans the opposite of a disservice, because they did us a disservice before. So they owed it to us. They owed it. And they started out, in my opinion, episode 1 was amazing, came out strong. You know, we're right into the storyline already. You're welcome, Zelda. But yeah, you're welcome. Sorry, Paula, you'll have to catch the replay because we're ending. But thank you, Patrick, and thank you, Rebecca, for coming up. I'll see y'all next week, and everybody have a great rest of your day.
Thanks,
bye, guys.
everybody.
You're welcome. Bye.